We still on this weekend for a little?
You know it. I'm in desperate need of some.
What about you, Jim?
No, my sister's getting the wedding. She's getting married, so.
When adventure calls, make sure you're ready to answer. STA-BIL 360 ethanol treatment is specifically formulated for year-round use, so your engines will be ready when you are. Ready, willing, stable.
The next generation of auto detailing is here, where simplicity meets performance. 303 graphene nanospray coating. Get a year of protection from a powerful graphene oxide formula. A formula that sends water flying off surfaces, keeping water spots at bay. Go beyond wax, beyond ceramic. Graphene nanospray coating from 303.
The Falken Azenis RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenis RT660.
Here at FCP Euro, we take pride in the fact that each and every one of your orders is picked, packaged, and shipped by a fellow car enthusiast. We understand that you need the right parts and need them fast to complete that next project or get your daily driver back on the road. Take John, our quality assurance specialist. He's normally found in the distribution center quality checking your orders, but he's also often found out on track in his Audi TT-RS, putting parts that we sell to the test, such as upgraded track pads and suspension components. John understands how important it is for you to trust the quality of your parts, whether at the limit or just simply going to the grocery store. If you want to learn more about us, head to fcpeuro.com.
The lunch break is over here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It is time for Track Battle. As part of the GRIDLIFE Track Battle Time Attack program, I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Adam Nielsen, and we are looking forward to this one unfolding. Adam, this morning on this track, we had some wickedly fast times and a couple new records set.
Yeah, we saw a handful of records falling across the classes. Ferris resetting the overall record, unlimited class record with a blistering time.
Yeah, 122.659, then a 122.5. I mean, that is just extraordinarily quick, obviously, around here. That's a fire-breathing Corvette. I noticed on the entry list where it says estimated horsepower, under his it says about 1 million.
Yeah, I think what I've been told this weekend is that he's running on like a roughly 900 horsepower tune.
Okay.
I know the car's capable of north of that because I've seen dyno graphs before. Him and I have like a long-running joke between us that like, we know your car makes way more than you ever will publish because you got to keep some of this a little secret.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? You know?
It's proprietary.
So, yeah,
you know.
exactly. So,
and one of the things I love as you see the cars getting ready to come out is just looking at, I mean, obviously the mods under the hood and elsewhere are amazing, but the aero on these cars is just phenomenal.
Yeah, Time Attack's always been kind of that. Aero is more open in this than most forms of racing, and so people maybe get a little wild with it.
Well, that Nissan that's coming out.
Yeah, the 350.
I mean, you look at the diffuser on the back of that, along with the wings and the splitters up front, but that diffuser is monstrous.
Just hear that four-rotor in the background.
That's
what
crazy.
An insane machine.
Wow, you can hear that. That is just crazy. And he comes into the pits and is just blipping it.
Yeah.
It's ear-splitting.
Yeah. So leading the pack now, Grant Walker and his Mechanical Advantage Racing Miata K-Swap turbo car in track mod. Car we've seen for quite a few years, but never really seen the pace we're seeing out of it this year. I'm really excited to see him really putting it together as a driver and showing what that car is really capable of.
And you can see they are not grouped by class. This is all based on pace. So it's a combination of what the car's capable of, but also the ability of the driver to wheel it. And I like that. And it's basically to eliminate massive closing speeds and the like.
Yeah, if we grouped cars by class, there's a lot of these classes have such extreme deficits in time, from the pointy end to the people who are just kind of getting into it, that, you know, like if you had cars on track that had 15-second deltas between their lap times, that's just not safe.
No, not at all.
At an amateur level. So,
yep, savvy way to do it here. And I'm looking forward to, if we can, at some point we'll get a close-up of that Nissan we're talking about. You can see the radical arrow on it. And one of the things, we've got some drone pilots here. You see one flying right there that are just as insanely talented as some of these drivers. And you get a look at that Nissan. There it is. That tails away on it. It is just spectacular.
Yesterday I saw they were running some streamers and tufts, and I'm sure they had GoPros pointed at them, kind of just real world verifying that the CFD of that car is accurate and that the aero's working the way they want it to. So pretty cool to see them like even doing some real world testing in the competition environment.
Yeah, there it is. You can see the CFD lines that they just decided to put on the car just as a grab, which is cool. But look at that diffuser at the back. And the whole idea of the diffuser, for those of you who may not be familiar with it, is if you can speed the air up from underneath the car as it exits, it literally creates a low pressure area under the car, which then sucks the car down, doesn't it?
Yep. Managing air above and below the car constantly. It's the work that these guys go through. A lot of these cars, there's so much work underneath them that you don't even see that makes the biggest difference.
So are you obviously in the unlimited class where the rules package is basically, whatever.
Safety rules, pretty much.
Safety rules, anything else goes. So you could take a car like this one, you got the big wings on it, but in theory you could build tunnels underneath it as well, right?
I believe that I can't remember right off the top of my head, but there is some amount of the factory chassis that has to remain. You can't just like show up in a tube chassis car with a silhouette of a body bolted to the top and monster tunnels underneath it. You have to maintain some level of the original unibody structure and the firewall specifically a lot of times, just to kind of keep people from getting too far gone. So there is a super unlimited class that allows for literally anything. Not a very well subscribed class, but it does exist.
Well, you get to that level, that's obviously going to be a mighty expensive build when you're looking at that level. But these cars are obviously sculpting it. And the art of aerodynamic management, I mean, it's certainly a science, but to a degree, it's a black art, too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of testing and tuning. It's not uncommon for you to see small changes in aero packages on these guys, even across the weekend, but certainly from weekend to weekend as we go from one event to the next, as they're fine-tuning and trying new things.
Well, I mean, you think about it, there are some tracks like a Road Atlanta where you want every ounce of downforce you can possibly get.
Yeah, turn 12 is king.
It's mega, But then you think about Road America where you've got these long straights. Yeah, you need aero to get through the carousel and the kink.
Absolutely.
But you don't want, wings of this size also create immense drag.
Yep.
And that you don't want, so I can see them swapping stuff out. Horses for courses, so to speak.
Right. So getting some times up on the board. Grant flying that sub-minute 30 mark, a 1:29.6. I think he's been into the 28s this weekend. 28.9. Yeah, but 1:29 still a really respectable time for the heat of the midday that we're in.
Well, and that's the thing right now. The track is not at its fastest right now, simply because we've had this. It hasn't been direct bright sunlight. It's been hazy sunlight, but this track is really susceptible to heat.
Right. Ryan Matthews, 121 there. I think he is our street mod winner or leader so far, but still, the street mod record a mid 129. So he's well off pace for setting a record this weekend.
That's
That record held by Jackie Ding in his Supra, who did not. I think he's here this weekend, but not with that car.
Okay. You can see the track temp now up. It was during the first groups this morning. It was in the mid 90s. Now it's up to 130 degrees.
Yeah.
And you need a little temp in the track for the tires to work. But when it starts to get at this level, it doesn't create the grip. You get the little oils in the asphalt tend to cook a little bit, come to the surface, and it's just not as quick. Weather's beautiful, though.
It is a really nice day. Sun shining.
Right now.
There's a chance for rain later today, which Mid-Ohio is famous for being terrifying.
I think right about the time of the ASM party.
Yeah, well, that's
unfortunate.
Welcome to Grid Life. That's what we do here. It's not a grid life if there's not a giant storm and tents flying across the field and people taking cover.
So you guys really fall on every sword to entertain, that's what you're saying, huh?
It's never a dull moment.
29.2 now for Walker, so he improved that by some 4/10.
Yeah.
In the 82, a Carswell put in a good lap as well. He jumps up into the second spot at a 31.2.
Josh Halka there, 6th. He's our street class leader. A 133.63 is a very small improvement for him, I believe. He's really dominating the street class this weekend.
Yeah, he had a 33.1 earlier.
Oh, okay.
So, but he's getting down there.
Yeah.
Half second off, knocking on the door just a little bit here.
Subaru STI build. Really cool car. Really been the guy to beat in street class the last at least 2 years. So
let's quickly, for people that may not have ever watched this before.
there he is there.
No, there he is.
Hopefully just on a cool down and not having some problems.
Let's talk about the various classes.
Yeah.
And there's a new one running this year as well, right?
Yep. Club TR, Falken sponsored class. The spec tire class, the only spec tire class for our Time Attack series, using the Falken RT660. Pretty basic aero, stock internal engines. We've got a waving yellow and checker. So I think we're.
I wonder
We're
then
shutting
maybe
the session down.
if Hulka had a problem.
I'm not sure, but yeah, Club TR has been a really well taken to class this year, despite it being new. Lots of competitors at every event this year. Has really been one to follow. It's been a lot of fun.
Bit of smoke out of the back of. I didn't
Yeah,
catch who
that's
is.
Hulka there.
That is Hulka. So he's obviously continuing, but some sort of an issue here. TR, by the way, just stands for track rat.
Yeah,
right?
track rat.
I love
Yep.
that.
It was built kind of like to help. There were a lot of people, a lot of GRIDLIFE friends, a lot of cars that existed that didn't really have a real good place that they fit in, because it is a huge jump from the street class up to the street mod class. It's a big jump in power and aero and car modification. And so they were trying to find a place where there was cars that were kind of similar pace and prep to GLTC cars, but still fit in guys who are wanting to run in the Time Attack series instead. And so, like, one of my good friends who I'm here with this weekend, Ryan Seiler, who I think will be in our next group, he immediately took to that class very well, because his car was street mod, but nowhere close to competitive.
Okay.
And, like, I think it was maybe 2 hours worth of work to get it from where he was to being,
that's handy.
Ready to go for Club TR.
So it slots in between street and street mod.
Yeah, in time. Well, they are a little bit. I mean, times are similar, sometimes a little slower than street, but they do allow a little more prep. But the engine limitations are lower, so the power isn't there.
Okay.
That it is in street.
Okay.
So.
And then there's a class called Sunday Cup.
Sunday Cup, yep.
And that is?
That's kind of like SCCA Spec B class cars. Honda Fits, base model Mini Coopers, Mazda 2s, pretty dominant cars in that class. Very, very limited prep.
Okay.
There's a spec tire size in that class as well.
Okay.
Those guys are just it's probably one of the most hotly contested classes, but the slowest class.
Right.
So it proves that it doesn't matter how fast you're going. You can still have fun. You can still really be in a competition environment.
Well, B-Spec racing, a lot of it has been some of the most cut and thrust, too, when
absolutely.
you're in a wheel-to-wheel scenario. So we've talked, so we got Sunday Cup, we got street, we got track TR, we got street mod. Then you move up to track mod.
Track mod, yeah. I kind of joke it as being street tire unlimited class. The aero's much more wild. The ability to shed weight and strip out the car much more open. Cages are a lot more prevalent in that level of prep. You still have to have a dash pad, but anything underneath it can be gone. The interior, the carpet, like street mod requires there to be carpet in the car still. Track mod, you don't need any of that stuff. Carpet is not a significant weight change, but it's still there. At that point, power and engine setup open and unlimited. You can do pretty much whatever you want. No flat floors. Allows sequential transmissions. Okay. So it's where people start to step into some of the really wild, like hardcore race car stuff.
And as you build toward the faster classes, the safety requirements get far more stringent, correct?
Yeah, GridLife rulebook has like an addendum in it that says, you know, like in the lower street trim classes where interiors are still allowed, there is a allowance that will allow you to remove or modify interior panels for the sake of safety equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, even in the street class, roll bars and harnesses and fixed back seats are still pretty prevalent because they're not going slow out there.
No, not
and
at all.
the potential for injury in an event where you find a wall or something like that's still pretty there. But yes, as you move up in prep, they become required more than encouraged.
Okay. And then the top class unlimited, you already mentioned that,
Yeah.
you know, tires, that's one of the things that'll say. I mean, we saw Ferris put different tires on and go
just
out
a simple tire change.
as a track mod car and set that record. But unlimited, talk about the differences in tires, and there are certain other things, obviously, that you can do in unlimited, I would presume.
So in unlimited, you're allowed full slick.
Okay.
There's not a treadwear rating, whereas track mod and down do have treadwear ratings. They're more street tires. There's no aero limitations, so you can have the flat floors. You can have crazy multi-element wing setups. Paddle shifters are illegal. I believe that drivetrain layouts changes are allowed. You know, making a front-wheel drive car rear-wheel drive or something like that could be possible, as long as you can figure out a way to maintain the minimum amount of original chassis around it. So not something we really see, but it is a possibility.
And that car we just watched, the 87 Team Twitch entry in this one, I believe is our broadcast partner Alex Moss said he might be going out.
Yeah, I think he's making some laps. At him and Brandon Ranvek, who owns the car, I think are trading back and forth, it sounds like. That car, always a pointy-end competitor in the street class. That was a really cool interpretation of the rules. So the E36 M3 that car is, BMW made a really limited run called the Lightweight, the LTW, and it's got some wild, like, really race car splitter and some other small modifications on the front. Because they're factory pieces, even though they're outside of the street class rules, they're factory pieces, they're perfectly legal in that class.
Okay.
So that's kind of where people start to really dig into the rule book and look at chassis and go, what car could I build that could maximize the rule set?
Right.
Who built the weird special editions that might have some aero bits or some power options that could give me an advantage?
Because if it's factory, it's okay.
If it's factory, it's legal.
Well, I mean, you know, that's the game, isn't it? Every time sanctioning body comes up with the rule book, the really crafty engineers figure out a way to find little loopholes, and that's the game. That's all part of it.
Time Attack is a builder series as much as it is drivers, and that's a huge part of it, is finding those little bits and figuring out, really wheeling that car there.
Yes, he is. You see him come through turn one, we were watching, and carrying so much load through there, he's getting a little body rub on that right rear tire. So Alex is on it, and he's been announcing with me for the Touring Cup stuff.
Yeah.
And every time we start talking about this track, he just starts smiling. Obviously, he likes this place, and he's really getting after it here.
Yeah. People I've talked to this weekend, even the people who've never been here before, this is a quick favorite.
It's a driver's track.
It's a really cool
This is
place.
what a driver really likes. Obviously, you know, the super fast tracks with the really long duration corners and everything, but you get a track like this, it's got a great rhythm to it, that's technical, blind approaches, big commitment, and you get around there, well, it's just ultimately satisfying.
It's fun to watch. This is a really good
watch
track
his right
to
rear,
watch. Yeah. Just throwing it in there.
He is.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's where it gets a little scary, you know?
Yeah. That's a 135.7 for Alex in the Team Twitch entry. And the 834 of Vocal, 135.4.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what class Vocal is in, but he's certainly giving it a run here.
Yeah, the Alex in that E36 still a few seconds behind the pace that Hulk has been able to find this weekend. So not putting the pressure on him, I'm sure they were hoping to.
I don't know that Alex hasn't been here prior to this weekend, so I don't know that he's got anywhere near the laps.
Well, and that car is a ways down on power compared to Josh Hulka and his Subaru.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, sometimes it's a lighter car on its feet. I think it's a better handling car. And so those two guys often trade positions based on what track we're at.
And when we were talking classes, we kind of slipped through Street GT.
Yeah, so Street GT is street class, similar. The big difference being that that's like where the V8s and the twin turbo V6s live, because it was kind of decided that like you can't run a Corvette and a E36 M3 BMW together and expect that to be a competitive class.
Right, right. That's what Vocal is driving right there.
Yeah, that's C8 there.
The C8, yep.
So the Street GT class was introduced, I think, maybe its third year. After some people started going really fast in the street class with V8 cars and just kind of showing a pace that wasn't going to be matchable by anybody else. So Kendall Samuel there on screen losing some of his aero bits.
Yeah. And I was seeing the smoke, and I think that's that piece that's back. It gets back on the tire every once in a while, so he doesn't realize it. There's a lot of smoke coming out of that car right now.
Hopefully it's not a Subaru doing Subaru things.
Ugh. Good heads up from driver he just went through. It's just
looks like
he's wheeling it.
Still putting it in there. So that's a really unique build too. A twin turbo, but still the flat 4, which is not the setup you see on those cars very often with a pair of turbos rather than just one. So
Tchaikovsky at a 136 flat, then Lynn at a 136.6. Lynn driving in the street class. That's an Evo. And one of the things I was going to talk about within each of these classes, there's also all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive as well. So there's, category for any type of car, really.
We do keep track of drivetrain layout records, but when it comes to the podium, we don't keep track of it as a drivetrain, just as a class.
Okay. So the track battle podium is anybody
so
the
the class podium will just be the 3 fastest cars regardless of drivetrain layout, but the records are kept track of as overalls and chassis layouts.
Okay. And we are seeing some of these guys are using up not just the curbing, they're running, especially down through turn 6 at the bottom of the hill. They are way inside the curbs. And it's spectacular, but it does pull a bunch of dirt and debris up onto the track, and other competitors don't always appreciate it.
No, as long as you're keeping within those track limits. Grant Davidson there, the purple Integra. He is our current Club TR leader. We talked about that class a little bit. He has a pretty comfortable lead. Matt Williams moved into second last session, kind of chasing him down, but not as much as I think he probably hoped. And he was black flagged that session. I don't see him out this session. Potentially that rotary having some problems.
Oh, okay. That's unfortunate. Good look here at Davis. And by the way, Tchaikovsky, who sits third right now in the overall order in the class, running an unlimited Miata, having a pretty good run as well.
That car LS swapped, quite the machine. Johnny C., the owner of 9 Lives Racing, kind of a cult following of guys around here. There's a lot of Johnny's wings on the back of cars at this event.
So how do you take a big V8 and drop it into a little Miata chassis and make that function? Just find room for it.
You'd be shocked at how small an LS is as compared to even 4-cylinders.
It's a small block.
GM did a really good job in packaging with that engine. It's single cam. It's not overhead, so they were able to keep everything real tight. And there's companies that make kits, and it's really not like that crazy of work.
Okay.
So there's more than one LS-powered Miata here this weekend.
And it's just as the checker flag comes out, it is just so crazy to be watching Miata coming at you and hear that thunder as it goes by.
Yeah. One of the cars that I saw yesterday, but I don't know that I've seen much on track today that was V8 swapped, had independent throttle bodies sticking up through the hood. Very like old school Can-Am style.
Oh,
really
wow.
cool to see.
That is.
And sounds glorious.
Oh, I can imagine.
I love it.
I can imagine.
So.
Yeah, those stacks on the back of a Can-Am car back in that era was.
Yeah.
Those cars just looked.
The old McLarens and
totally
stuff like
rad.
that.
Oh,
really,
yeah.
really cool. Anytime you have independent throttle bodies on just about anything, I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is sharp as can be as the checker comes out, looking to see if anybody makes a big move here right at the end. Not seeing any big changes there. So Vocal just tops the overall run order here. I think Alex acquitted himself pretty well out there at a 135.7.
Yeah. He's chasing a record set by Kobe Shield last year, a 32.8 in that class. Kobe is here competing, but not in Street GT. He's competing in Close Year. I think that car right there in the front of the grid there, he's co-driving it with another one. So I'm not sure who's in it at any given session, but Kobe, a really fast driver. He holds most of, if not all, the Street GT records at this point. He really showed how fast, or showed the pace of that class could be in the last 2 years.
Sounds like, yeah, we're talking about some of that curb hopping and getting way behind the curb. Now, watch him as, I think this might be the guy, watch him as he turns into 6 here. Now, it looks nice there, and then I'm going to straighten this corner out just a little bit more.
Using all that curbing.
Every bit of it. And then floating it through.
That's risky.
It is, but you know, every once in a while you get that those tires just on the backside of that curb. If that curb isn't really aggressive, you can actually use it to hook you around the corner a little bit.
I haven't heard anybody talk too much about how bad the curbing is here. Must not be the worst.
Well, you know, they do a lot of motorcycle racing here. They have AMA super bikes and everything, so you don't want really super aggressive curbs for that. So I think they're fairly calm, if you will.
The last event of the year we have at Road America. That track is kind of notorious for being really hard on cars in the curbing.
Yes, yes, and you've got a few spots there where, and what they've done, they've got, you know, the curbing is really wide.
Yeah.
And so what they've done is, like, the back half of that curbing, it just gets super aggressive. And so, you know, if you run a bit wide, you're okay, but if you get really wide, you just see cars and bikes just start doing the bounce. They start pogoing. And it's all, you know, I mean, the design there is to dissuade people from getting too aggressive on the curbs.
Right.
But when bikes hit that kind of stuff, it's...
Yeah, I bet that can get real hairy. Bike racing is a different breed of insanity.
Oh, they're wired differently.
I love watching MotoGP.
Completely. I do too, but they're nuts.
The amount of passing those guys can do.
Oh, it's incredible.
They'll pass each other 2 or 3 times in a corner.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And, you know, you think about it, the 1-liter bikes, I was lucky to be the studio host for Fox's coverage for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And the year they came out with the 1-liter bikes, Danny Pedrosa, who is the smallest, lightest driver, they got to Mugello, which has that longest straight. Mm-hmm. And this is a motorcycle. They clocked him through the speed trap at 217 miles an hour.
Oh, my God.
I know. It's just stunning. So
I'm going to hard pass on that.
Yeah. Love to watch it.
Thank you.
Love to watch it, and that's good.
Yeah.
All right, next group heading out. You talked about some of the people to watch. Who do you think is going to be up near the top of this?
I don't know. You know, I'm excited to see Kobe and Jacob in that S2000 there. You know, they've been doing really good this weekend. Not putting the pressure on the top guys as hard as I think they really were hoping for. But still fun to see them out here.
Everybody just kind of taking their outlap, getting those tires warmed up, and then they'll get serious here. And these are fairly short, quick sessions that are unfolding right now. Fastest time set by somebody previously in this group was that Team Jacoby entry that you're talking about at a 140.299. So you know they're going to be right out there. But you're saying that they're a bit off of the record still.
Yeah, I think they're in, what was the time?
140.29.
A 140, yeah. So I think the leaders in that class are down in the sub 35s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, Grant Davidson, that purple Integra in the last session, he's really running away with it this weekend. Probably the biggest margin win in Club TR I think I can remember this year.
Really?
So pretty cool.
Yeah. And obviously, this is the first year at Club TR.
Yep.
So any track record set here they're not breaking one. They're setting the initial one.
They're just setting it. I'll be very interested to see how that class progresses. GridLife has kind of a funny way of scope creep in classes, and you know times. So like Abe, talking about with him earlier. In 2016, he won Street Mod. He was the class winner, the season champion. His times that year wouldn't put him on the podium for street class today.
No. Wow.
So, you know, as a new class, there's a lot of cars that are very well prepped, but you know there's a ton of time left on the table.
Sure.
Because there's no one who can go through who can go through a rule book like a GridLife competitor.
Absolutely. Well. One, you find the loopholes. Two, you just continue to develop the car, right? The driver continues to develop skills.
Absolutely.
And then, let's not forget, tire technology continues to improve.
Yeah, tires have gotten way.
That's a big thing.
Even in just the last few years.
Yeah.
And, you know, Club TR, a spec tire, so not going to be too much advanced there. But people figuring out that tire because it's a new tire.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's probably some setup changes to fine-tune how well you drive with the car and the tire.
Yep. Where's the sweet spot and the like?
There we go. A sub 140 from Team Jacoby. They're an improvement from last session for them.
Yeah. Oh, and the 470 is Siegel. Just really threw one in. It's Ed Siegel, and that's a street front-wheel drive street car. That's a Civic Type R. That's a pretty good lap.
That's a fast lap. Civic Type R's, super cool cars. Really good track-capable cars right out the box.
Yeah, he had a 140.43 previously, so he's well underneath that.
Yeah, it just shows that, you know, even with the higher track temperatures, that car on screen there, really cool looking. Even with the higher track temperatures, like people still learning this track, figuring it out. There's still time to find.
And you never quit tweaking. You know, get that car in there and go, well, we can do this, we can make that little change. And I think, is that Jerry Liu right behind him in the 226, that yellow Supra?
Hard to see.
Right, yeah. He just went a 139.651. Compared to a 140.493.
Letting him pass there on a cool down.
Whoa!
Yep, 226.
Just a little bit of rotation there.
Supra's been a really well adopted car in the track community, at least in the GridLife community, for being such a new car that kind of had a lot of trouble on the track when they first came out. But there's multiples of them on track with us nearly every weekend.
Okay.
So really cool to see those cars.
Boy, look at that. Even with that big slide, by the way, he just uncorked a 139.1.
First, I didn't really like them. They've really grown on me.
Yeah.
I think they're cool.
Well, if he gets a clean lap, I think we could easily see a mid-38 out of that car. He's on a cool-down lap now.
Looks like he's, letting her cool down. Heavy cars, so the tires can get hot and greasy pretty quick. Not sure what he's on, but Street GT class.
Jim Smith-Aline right now in a Club TR S2000, sitting in the 5th spot, the number 334 to 140.129. And he too is about 4/10 quicker than he was. So as you say, we talked about how the track temp's up a lot. It's just not going to be, the track won't be as fast, but they keep working on these cars, getting the setup dialed in just a little bit. The combination of driver and car certainly are picking up the pace.
It's got to feel good for these guys, coming in. We've got a morning session tomorrow where the track hopefully will be better, in better condition. And even if you're improving in these midday sessions, it's got to provide some level of excitement for tomorrow where they might be able to really find some time.
I would certainly think so. I mean, it's just encouraging, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm not seeing that
625.
625 on the. Oh, there he is, Samuel Masalevchik.
Cool looking 350Z.
It is.
Those cars are getting cheaper and cheaper. Uh-oh.
Bit of smoke
going off
yeah.
there. Cars getting cheaper and cheaper. They've really become a track favorite.
Well, and that's a factor too, isn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
Obviously, if you've got a big budget, you can do the unlimited stuff. That's great, but that's one of the things that I love about it is you can find a car. You've got all these categories. You can find something that's probably going to be in your financial wheelhouse to be able to get out and still find a place to go have some fun with.
Well, I think a lot of the competitors that are here, they bought the car because they liked it, or they fell in love with it, and then they decided to go racing with it. I don't think there's all that many people who cracked open the rule book and said, which car is the best car for this class?
Right.
That's not generally how this happens, which is kind of weird to me, that it's not really a thing. So check flag on the session, looks like.
Well, and my guess is that exactly what you said, that applies for the people getting into it.
Yeah.
But I think if you just fall in love with track battle and time attack, then at that point, you might start going,
maybe
okay,
your second car.
Yeah, within my financial, ability here, what car would be the best for this class?
Yeah, what do I think I could do?
Yep, exactly. But I think you're right. I mean, most people fall in love with the car and then go, I want to drive this a little faster.
Looks like Dallas Reed in his second car this weekend. That silver RX-8 that just went by on screen there. He's the same guy who had that wild V8 swapped turbo-powered triple element RX-8. He does have two cars. I don't know if he was having some mechanical issues and switched back to the other car for the rest of the weekend or what, but interesting to see him having both of them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's nice, isn't it, to be able to
Sometimes
have a couple of cars to come enjoy and play with.
Yeah.
And one, it also it gets you extra track time.
Yeah, if one car
one.
breaks down, instead of the stress and frustration of thrashing on it to try and get it and salvage your weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Just grab the other car and keep going.
Keep going. Backup cars.
Backup cars. That's a different level of finances, I guess.
Exactly. And I think we have one more run group that's going to be coming out here. And we're looking forward to that one. And then we are going to be relatively quickly, so just be ready for it, folks. We'll be getting into our coverage of the third of the four races for the GRIDLIFE Touring Cup will be coming up here shortly. We've got a pretty decent crowd that's building here. I love to see it.
Yeah. GRIDLIFE does a pretty good job of pulling a crowd, more so than most average club day events. So social media presence and stuff like that really helps that.
Well, as does the performance of vehicles that are out on track.
And the variety.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's quite a crowd.
That's great. And that's one of the neat things about this place is, if you get to most of the great viewing areas early enough, you get backed up by the trees, you got nice shade, and you can just really settle in and just have an absolutely wonderful day here. These folks know that secret.
As I've kind of explored it through the weekend, there's a lot of places that are really good to watch racing from here.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorites is up on the hill overlooking Madness, up on the top of turn 5.
Yep.
It's a great spot over there. And the other one is love to be right up on that apex, on the inside the apex curbing over at turn 9 where that jump is. Because
I haven't really gone back there much. I haven't gotten much past like 6 and 7 through the S's.
I'll tell you get back at 9 when they right at the apex. There's that great big
jump
hump
back there, huh?
Oh yeah, and it's right at the apex. So if you don't have it quite right, you see lots of big opposite lock, catch it, and float over that. It's a great place to watch, especially something fast.
Yeah,
you know, because they're just all that momentum, and it's literally one of those spots. You know, when you come here with something that's fast that has a ton of aero. I've gone back and watched, for instance, during IndyCar. And you can literally see the aero working because every mechanical element in the car is in full rebound as it goes over that.
Yep.
And as you can see that energy starting to uncork, the aero just slams it right back down onto the track. And
that's cool.
You just look at it and go, that's not natural, man. You know, and it's that black art of aero.
Yeah.
You know, taking air and using it. I used to call it false grip. Because it wasn't natural, it wasn't mechanical grip, and you use it. And one of the cool things is you think about, you know, this is where the engineers and the aerodynamicists, you know, with that level of mental acuity is something else. When they, you know, first started back, you know, Formula One did it, IndyCar did it, where they outlawed the skirts along the side of the tunnel cars.
Yeah.
They figured out a way on the front edge of the side pods. They put these little fins that started to rotate the air so that it rotated inward toward the underside of the car and created its own barrier to allow those tunnels to still work.
Yeah.
I mean, just amazing what they can, you know what they can think of and then execute.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have the idea, but to be able to go, yeah, we can make that work.
I would love to see like some wind tunnel budget or level budgeted time attack cars, and with the freedom of the rule book. Like what those cars could become.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to see.
That would be indeed. Last group heading out. Fastest in this group was the Street Mod entry, a 370Z. We have seen the 373. And I'm not, I hope I don't blow the last name here, Ivan Onofrichuk, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
But boy, I realize you didn't jump in.
No, I'm not jumping into that one.
He had a 146.738 is his best time, but talk about close. Brian Smith in the 444 GTI, a 146.8. So I mean, they're separated by like 0.06 of a second.
That's really small.
Yeah.
It's even, you know, I mean, yeah, they might be back of the class, but I'm sure that those two are still like gunning for each other.
Oh, absolutely.
It's still a fight for them, which is cool.
Well, in that regard, I don't think it's a lot different than the guys that are running mid-pack in a race.
Right.
You may not be going for the win, but you always find 2 or 3 guys that are running similar speeds, and you get into great battles.
Yeah.
And it's very satisfying at the end of the race. So, and Trip Walker in a street car turned a 147.1, which is only about 2.5 tenths. It's an FRS. And the number 113 off of those 2 street mod entries, so he's getting around here very quickly and really close in this group, and that's why they pack them together. You got a 146.7 at the top, and you've got to go to the 9th place to find somebody that's outside of 2 seconds of that time. So this group's pretty close, as you would expect.
This is a group where our Sunday Cup drivers exist, so that always a tight and interesting battle to watch. I think it's kind of cool with those guys. Most of our instructors here this weekend for our beginner HPD program also Sunday Cup drivers. So giving back a little bit. Really cool to see.
That is. That's great.
I don't know if that was a hand wave, like a thank you.
That's
or
what I was. Oh, yeah, somebody
off track there.
Run through the gravel trap.
BMW 30.
It's on the exit of the keyhole, looks like. That may have been Cortland Bailey number 175. And he looks to have gathered it up.
Surprised we haven't had more cars like out in China Beach. I've heard that that's an easy place to get stuck.
It is. Very easy.
I'm surprised we haven't had that many cars stuck out there this weekend, or any that I'm aware of, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know that we've had any off. Really off. I mean, I haven't seen anybody in any of the sessions really even drop a tire badly to the exit of 4. He's got that pretty figured out.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, the reason that that's there is, Indy run here and IMSA prototypes, and if they have something fail going there, on the back half of it is ultra deep, so that it'll catch them and stop them, and that's an important element of it. But what it does, as you point out, is as we are watching some of these cars, you run off just a little bit, get into that grass and slide into it. Sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge to keep the mow going to get out.
Yeah.
.424 of Norman has moved to the top of the charts here at a 145.9. Then the 444 of Brian Smith in the GTI continues to run right up at the sharp end. I'm sure Adam told you, but we have no video. The 238 of Garrett Glossary. That's an RX-8. He had a 48.4 previously, and he's down to a 48.1. So that's pretty impressive, just noticing the number of drivers in this session where the track is definitely hotter and probably not as grippy, finding big chunks of time. That tells you that these guys are really adept at making changes to the car.
Yeah.
And being able to find the speed.
Sunday Cup drivers being a little slower this weekend.
Fourth right now is the 373 of Ivan Onofrichuk. Then the 5 is the 221 of Joseph King. He just moved up. He had a 148.6 previously and is now almost at that same time, so a good lap for him, pushing Eric Neuer back a spot. So this is our fast car right now, Norman, in that GTI.
Subaru.
Or is that the Subaru? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
It's not a bad time at a 45.9. Through that turn 11. Not sure he's on a real quick one.
No, it kind of looks. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell. That's one of the frustrating things with Time Attack is like, is he just on a cooldown? Is he on a flyer? Is he in the middle? It's, yeah, it's one of the difficult parts about Time Attack, even just as a spectator. So.
Well, that was a 49, so I think we guessed right on that one.
Well, there you go.
But you're right, and that's one of the things is if you've got a guy who is very smooth.
Yeah.
It is tough. I remember when Alain Prost, the great driver they called the Professor, who was just glass smooth, and that was his MO here in Formula One as the checker comes out. When he was driving for Frank Williams during qualifying, used to get on the radio jokingly and say, all right, Elaine, please, when you're ready for your qualifier, please let us know so we can tell the difference. And he'd be out there and just driving around, and then suddenly, and it would look exactly the same, and suddenly he'd be 3 seconds faster and go to pole. You know, it's just that ability.
Different world.
To be super smooth. And
Eric Streeter on screen there.
nice.
Probably the most unique car here this weekend. A Series 1 Lotus Elise. So, running Club TR, bought a set of tires just for this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not his normal Grid Life competition car. Having some trouble with that one. Brought his backup out this weekend.
That's a beautiful backup to have. Little
Yeah.
Lotus.
Yeah. Must be rough, huh?
Well done.
Must be rough. His
Well done indeed.
his normal one, a Caterham.
Oh, well.
So.
All right. So he's got a couple of really sweet rides.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, around here, those Caterhams can get going.
Yeah.
They are such a fabulous momentum car.
He's always pretty quick here.
Yeah.
Has some well thought out modifications to the car, some aero work done to it. Really quick, cool little car.
Well, he's not doing too bad here either.
I think he's blindingly bright yellow.
Yeah. You don't miss it.
No.
You don't miss it.
He told me that was one of maybe 5 or 6 Series 1s here in the States.
Oh, really?
That are street legal,
Yeah, yeah.
I should say. Because I think they brought a bunch of race cars, but
Okay.
that one being a street legal version. So not very many of them here.
Well, then we are in august company. And
Yeah, it's
happy
pretty.
to see
It's
it. It
you know,
is.
he flat out told me like this is like I'll probably do 7 or maybe 8/10. Like I'm not wadding this car up though.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh, I do too. I do too. When I first started ice racing, and the car that I drove was my street car that I autocrossed.
Yeah.
And then I'd go out and ice race.
Uh-huh.
But the first ice race I did, and I was parked next to Herm Johnson, who was a Super V driver and raced in the Indy 500, and he and Bill Pate were co-drivers in ice racing. And that was really fun. The ice racing in the winter, you'd get Parker Johnstone and P.D. Cunningham and those guys that come and ice race, right? And I was paddock next to them, and they were helping me with little things. But it was I drove it to the track and then went out and raced it.
Yeah.
And I announced the enduro race, but I raced in the sprint thing. And so after my first session, and Herm Johnson was out, and he'd lap me a couple of times, and he'd get behind me and stay there for a little while, then he'd pull out and go by. And so I get out of the car, and when they pull in, I walk over to him, and I said, hey, I'm brand new to this. How did I look? And he went, like you had to drive that car home.
Well, you know.
And I went, oh, okay, got it.
Sometimes that's the most important part.
No,
so.
it's reality. It's reality.
Looks like we are wrapping up
Yeah, it does.
this, and I believe we have a GLTC race coming right up.
We do, coming right on the heels of this. It's going to happen really quickly here. Third race of 4 on the weekend, so we're looking forward to it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But don't forget, if you're here to watch Track Battle Time Attack, we've got more of it coming right after that touring race. So there's more of that to come here as well. But stay around, stick close, because we do have Touring Cup coming up in just a minute. Adam, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, folks, we'll be back with you later. Today's coverage of Grid Life's Track Battle Time Attack is being brought to you by Falken Tire, competition proven performance. 303 Performance, premium protectants and cleaners exceeding expectations since 1980. STA-BIL, ready, willing, stable. MOMO, the official safety partner of Grid Life. And by HP Tuners. HP Tuners, connect, read, edit, write, and drive.
we've been powering the American road since before it was paved. Our first breakthrough in motor oil was introducing it. And we've been reinventing it ever since. From the world's first high-mileage oil to the world's first synthetic blend. There are those who change with the times, and those who drive them. Valvoline, the original motor oil.
Buddy, it is time to go racing here once again in Grid Life Touring Cup, as race 3 on the weekend is out behind the pace car, and we are going to be going after it here in a big hurry. And you'll notice that that beautiful purple Corvette of time attacker turned road racer Jeremy Swenson up in front. He used his time attack skills, Alex, to great effect in that top 10 shootout and got himself up front. If he can do it again here, use that power on that back straight, lead into 4, and throw down a couple of fast laps. When he started up front, that's been his MO all year. Build that margin, because those tires are going to go off.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Jeremy really needs to start his race from the front, and that helps his strategy and helps fit with the way that car works. So look for him to build a pretty big gap in the first lap or two, or more, and then watch the other guys on the race tires start to try and chase him down towards the end of the race.
And the guy that's going to be starting alongside him, Eric Coutil, who comes in here now, he's got 2 wins from 2 poles. He's moved into the point lead. How close is this championship? When we came in here, the top 3 were covered by 9 points. Right now, they're covered by 6. This is insane how interesting this championship is. And Coutil has been just stunningly quick. He's been able to, he held off, he got through on O'Gorman in the first race. He got around him again in this morning's race. He has really got this track figured out. He's got that car dialed. Swenson's going to have his hands full, but this is going to be fun.
Yes, it is. And yeah, like you're saying, the championship is incredibly close, and that's the same as we've seen in every one of our sessions so far. There's not big margins here at both the micro level of an individual session and the macro level of the championship.
Yeah, this Mid-Summer Meet, 7th round of the Grid Life Touring Cup Championship. 4 races per round, essentially. This is the 26th race on the season. Got to love those numbers, and we are ready to go. Swenson on the inside, Coutil on the outside. We're green. Boy, and a big move at the back. That might be that, I think that's that Scion with that V8. And man, did he get a launch down into turn 4. We've been talking about China Beach. Swenson leads in, and they float through that corner, and he has got serious company. But what a start by Jensen up into 3rd.
Yeah, we see Jensen there, followed by DJ Alessandrini, and I do not see Eric Coutil anywhere in that group.
Yeah, Alessandrini started technically in the 3rd spot. Somebody running wide there at the back. So this is a huge development for Coutil. As I said, undefeated from both poles so far. And Alessandrini, he is hungry. He had got taken out in that first race. Incidental, not intentional by any means, but still was taken out. But he loves this track. This is home for him, lives in Cleveland. And
yeah.
He's going to stick, and I would think hound Swenson as much as he can to try and run those tires off.
Right, and we saw in race 2 that DJ was really the car that chased Swenson down right at the end. And as we saw on timing, actually got ahead of him, although he didn't on track. It was just from a transponder issue.
But man, start of the weekend has got to be Jensen, who timed it beautifully, used all that torque of that V8 and that Scion FRS, and just leapt up from 6th into 3rd. Right there, that black car with the red highlights around the back of it, and anything right behind him is O'Gorman in the Honda S2000.
Yeah, and Jensen really took a page out of the Jeremy Swenson playbook when he at the start there and managed to jump a number of positions right at the start.
And I think Coutil is there, but he's back, and he's got serious pressure from McGrew right there in that black number 7 all over the back. So I don't know whether maybe Coutil missed a gear, missed
Possibly.
a shift or something, but he's got work to do now. That was Smedegaard. Like he was trying to round him up there. The other car that's going to be a big story here, I think, is that silver BMW right at the top of your screen of Upham. Remember that they lost another radiator.
Yes, yeah, that's what I heard. The fix was a little bit of a temporary fix, and it didn't last. So now they've got the correct radiator in there, and mount it all up properly, and should be no problem now for the race.
And Luke McGrew, right there in that black number 7, sits 4th in the points. It's a bit of a gap between 3rd and 4th in the points, and you look at those numbers, and I'm wondering, did I just see O'Gorman? He did. He got around Jensen, so Tomo on the move. That was a beautiful outside move to get that done. Sweet pass by Tom O'Gorman. It happens quickly here. But we were talking, am I seeing a little smoke from the back of Coutil's car? Kind of buried in that
yeah,
cloud.
I think it was, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think we're going to see a great battle here from Aaron Lichty in 5th down to Ryan Upham in 9th. Those 5 cars are going to be battling it out here all race, I think, as well as the battles that we've got at the front.
And it's still pretty good. Swenson obviously draws away on this long backstretch. Here comes, again, Jensen using that power. It's going to be a braking duel down into turn 4. O'Gorman's been pretty good on the brakes down here. You can see he got on him a lot later, floats it down, and then just drifts all the way to driver's left. That's not only the fast way around, it's a great defensive move to just make sure you got the inside line for that next corner.
That's right. Yeah, he drifted all the way, well, not all the way to the edge, left a lane at the side, which you have to do, and also matches the line, but it was a great defense. And what I'm seeing is...
Ooh, suddenly it just snapped away from Jensen, and around he went. I wonder if that was just a little bit too greedy on the throttle, or whether something let go in the back of that car, because that's not a spot you normally see a spin.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but hopefully he can get it back up and get it running to the end of the race here. And what we're not seeing is Jeremy really pull away and take a commanding lead in this race. He's just got a couple of car lengths on DJ.
There's a look at the gentleman who was point leader coming in, Aaron Lichty. See currently with that problem, and there's that smoke again from Coutil. It's definitely there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And Hondas sometimes do that, so it may be nothing, or it may be something for us to watch for the rest of the race.
Bit of a gap now. O'Gorman has been able to drive away after he got around Jensen, and then with that spin, everybody checked up a little bit behind Jensen, and that's given Gorman the ability to not worry about anybody in his mirrors now and just try and chase down Swenson and Alessandrini. What I was going to say about O'Gorman's line through there, sometimes the best defense is just a good offense. It's just drive faster, you know?
Yep. Yeah, if you can drive faster than the guy behind you, he can't pass you. But what we actually see is that these cars make speed differently, so you have to maximize your own car's strengths and try and take away the opposition's strengths.
Look at this battle here. It's Coutil and McGrew have been side by side from 4 all the way now to 7, and there's the car of Jensen. Everybody had to bail out of it there and slow down and not turn in. He's right where you turn in on the normal line. If he doesn't get moved, I don't see how we don't get a caution here. And Smedegaard has used the opportunity. He has closed up a bit as well.
Yeah, he was side by side with McGrew there for a moment. And I'm not sure if there must have been obviously a yellow flag for that stranded car. And it looked like Andy backed out of it just to make sure there wasn't a pass on the yellow.
Yeah, well, they were still going side by side coming up to it. He had that inside, and I think he said, yeah, I better back off here. And there's the 82 of Coutil again, and he just kept her pretty well taped down the way through there, and that's given him a big margin right now. Still not seeing any sign of a full course caution. There's certainly a yellow down leading into turn 9, probably at station 8. We'll have to see whether that 184 of Jensen was able to get moving, but here's that battle you were talking about. It's, what, 6 cars strong. They're not covered by much.
Right. And we see all the way back now to Austin Hurtle in 11th, I think, that we're seeing that battle go on for. But this field is not stretching like I thought it would at the start of the race.
No, not at all. And now that Coutil is free of McGrew, we'll see whether he's going to be able to get after it a bit and come down. And another great run by Scott McGee. I think he was in his first shootout, and he didn't realize that you have to keep your pace up a little bit.
Yep.
And Upham caught him on his outlap. Looks like they got Jensen on the hook, flat towing him and pulling him off. That's an absolutely great job by the EV crew here, because that was covered under a station yellow. We never went full course. We've kept this race going.
Yep. Yeah, great to keep the race going and not ruin the session for both the drivers and all of the spectators that are watching.
good scrapping going on throughout the field here, a little bit farther back in the order.
It looks like Tom is joining that race for first now.
He has caught them, hasn't he?
DJ and Tom are both very experienced racing drivers, and they will not get into a fight amongst each other and then drop back from Swenson. They will almost work together to try and get right on Jeremy's bumper, which they have right there.
Wow, yeah, DJ was almost into Jeremy's bumper. That was really close, but he's got to get as close as he can because he knows he's going to lose a little bit of ground here. Now, if O'Gorman, if they can work together, keep DJ a little bit closer, we'll see if he's able to get close enough to out-deep him into 4. I don't think he's quite there.
No, not there yet.
And look, Lichty's decided, well, I'm going to come and play too.
Yep, so what I think we're seeing is Jeremy's tires maybe going off a little bit now and slowing down. Those race tires are coming to life.
Last lap was a 36.8. His best lap was a 36 flat, so
yep, and
it's happening.
And it's one thing to catch him, though. It's entirely different to get by, but we're seeing more and more cars join the party at the front here.
Well, if he can keep you behind him in the twisty bits, it's going to be tough to pass him on the straights, that's for sure.
Right. Right,
but
yeah.
The difficult thing is as those tires continue to go off, hanging on to that big, powerful Corvette, that's obviously running with a bit more weight, too. And look at O'Gorman, sensing opportunity, almost looked down to the inside. He is to the inside of DJ. Now it's going, DJ. That's what we were talking about. Swenson just didn't have the stick, Alex, and DJ got alongside him. Now, though, it's a drag race into 1. Who's going to make it work? DJ's got overlap. He's through. Swenson's going to have to cut back, and here comes O'Gorman down to the inside.
Yeah, great work there. The going side by side into turn 1, probably not the easiest move.
What a move by O'Gorman. Sorry if he could make it work here. He just cut back through to get down to the inside. And look who's joined this battle, or is about 5 car lengths away. Coutil is coming up as well.
Now DJ has a choice. Who does he defend from? Does he defend from Jeremy, or does he defend from Tom?
Or Lichty. Look at that.
Or Lichty.
And he's tucked in right behind, so the higher horsepower car is trying to team up and do something here. O'Gorman deep on the brakes, back into 3rd. And he's trying to get now to be able to ramp the outside. He might be able to do it here on Swenson. And with Swenson's car losing grip, you got to be careful with an outside move because he can just slip up into you too.
Yes, he could. Although I think these guys will probably trust each other well enough. But yeah, Tom's got through now, and I think you'll see these 2 cars pull away from Jeremy at this point.
Well, and he did it where he needed to early into the twisty bit, so now they can just use those light, nimble cars to good effect and build the gap to withstand Swenson's speed on the back straight.
As long as they don't interfere with each other too much. I mean, these guys could get into a bit of a scrap, and that will always slow themselves down.
Oh, and look at Coutil now coming up on the outside of Lichty into the carousel. We floated a little bit wider than I think he wanted there. That's the thing. You can run an outside line, but if you get too far outside, you're in where the marbles and the hot dog wrappers and stuff sit. There's just not a lot of grip out there.
That's right.
Boy, that's a lot. I don't know. To me, that smoke's getting a little heavier, so that's got to be a concern. Lichty defending just a little bit. You get that one move. That's how we played it. And McGrew, well, I'll tell you, he's had a couple of races where he's faded early and come charging back up. And this time, same story. Started 4th, has dropped back, and is now trying to fight his way back up into this. And he's down to the inside here. Boy, did he get a run on Coutil there. We've got 3.5 minutes left in this one. Call it, well, 3 laps, maybe. And 2 Ohio boys.
Yep.
Having at it right here. And then the man from Moorhead sitting in 3rd, Moorhead, Minnesota.
Yeah, it looks like Tom and DJ are really kind of checking out the front now, starting to build a gap, and we've got that 5-car party there behind them as Jeremy's fading and the kind of becoming the cork in the bottle for those guys.
And for Coutil, I'm sure he was, well, good, I can get a run on Lichty here, be able to do something, and then McGrew said, nah, I'm gonna play a little role here in your plans, my friend. And Smedegaard's coming to life now too, isn't he?
Yep. And he's joined the back of that pack.
White flag.
So final lap of the race here. We'll see how aggressive these guys want to be. But my guess is that we'll see probably 1 or 2 position changes here.
And there's Smedegaard right on the back of Coutil. A couple of nose feints going into the keyhole here. Gorman is really close on DJ. And again, impressive what Scott McGee is doing here in his first weekend of racing in GridLife Touring Cup. Let's see if O'Gorman can do anything now. He's been really good on the brakes down into 4. And Coutil now under attack from Smedegaard. That's for that 6th spot. O'Gorman not close enough to DJ to do anything here. Traffic they're coming up on. Oh, look at Smedegaard down to the inside of Coutil. But if Coutil can stay put, he's got the inside here into 6. But Smedegaard has just enough of a nose ahead. He's not going to give up easily. Still side by side. This is great racing, folks. This is what this series is all about. Respect, no contact. And drivers of this caliber just side by side through all these corners. And now Smedegaard just a little bit more grunt, able to ease in front of Coutil. Up into the last sequence of turns, into the carousel. O'Gorman, DJ, look at this here. Big move again. This is a flying. What a story by McGrew on Lichty. Side by side here at the line. It's Alessandrini gets it. What happens at the end here? Did McGrew get through? He did not. Wow.
And somewhere in that, Smedegaard dropped back a couple of positions then. We saw him get by Coutil, and then he dropped back 2 places.
I wonder if he just got into 11 a little too hot or something, because you're absolutely right. Because McGee got him right at the end and gets 7th. What a story for Scott McGee. Comes in here with 2 top 10s, a 10th and an 8th and a 10th. Now he betters that with a 7th. Smedegaard 8th, up him. And
it looks like Austin Hurtle is stopped there at the end of the front. And that's a shame, because he was running in 11th position for the whole race.
Yeah, he missed the first race with that gearbox issue.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, came back up and has been showing that great speed. We have the yellow entry sitting there, too. So Alessandrini, O'Gorman, and Swenson complete the podium. And so we got some replays we want to show you here. And it was some good moments. There was the moment that the 184 of Jensen just got away from him, and with the way he was towed off, something broke. Because you normally don't see a car go around like that. And then this sequence of moves here as DJ Alessandrini gets through and got to the inside of Swenson, and that was able to eventually make that pass stick. So some absolutely incredible racing. And while we were racing, the random invert happened. And guess what, folks? For the next race,
yes, so for the final race, we invert a random number of the top finishers. The number that was chosen was 11th. So whoever finished in 11th position, which I believe was Rosenberg, will be in pole position for the 4th race.
And what a break for him. Remember, in that first race of the weekend, he pulled over very early and stopped. He's been able to get back and get after it here. So he will start on pole. Then it'll be Jake Price, then Upham, then Smedegaard, McGee, Coutil, McGrew, Lichty, Swenson, O'Gorman, and Alessandrini. You're going to flip it. Man, that is going to be absolutely insane, that 4th race at the end of the day today.
And how great for DJ. Race 1 was absolute heartbreak for him as he was involved in that incident that took him out of the race. And here he is back winning race 3.
Absolutely. And, of course, with Coutil, ends up finishing in the 6th spot, but actually maybe starting better than he would have had he been able to get to the front. So there's something to be said for that. And for O'Gorman, 3 consecutive second places. I'm sure he's getting tired of that. So, he's going to be fighting angry and ready to go when that 4th race unfolds.
Yes, but he'll be happy he was second to DJ instead of Eric Coutil for the weekend's points.
That's a big story with Coutil finishing in the 6th spot. I said those top 3 come in to this race covered by some 6 points. That's going to snug up even more. I think. So,
yes, it will.
This championship is, as they say, completely on the boil right now.
Yeah, wonderful. It's it's great to see it. It's great to watch us going into this really competitive championship.
It is indeed. Boy, I'll tell you, they just put on some fabulous races here. Glad you were able to join us for this one. The final race of the weekend, the fourth race of the GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. We're getting underway. You can see the schedule here at 6 o'clock, so be with us about 5:45. We'll be coming on air and setting the stage for that one. But in between, we've got lots of stuff happening in terms of Time Attack. That'll be coming up, and that'll be coming your way in just about an hour's time, a little less than that. So a little bit of a break in our schedule on the stream right now, but we'll be back with you about 4:15 or thereabouts. Look forward to having you back with us, and then for that fourth and final race of the GRIDLIFE Touring Cup to wrap up the day's activity. I'm Greg Creamer once again with Alex Moss. Thank you so much for joining us here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the Mid-Summer Sweep, I should say. I had a midlife crisis in the middle of saying that, obviously. Thanks, folks. Today's coverage of the GRIDLIFE Touring Cup is brought to you by FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. Falken Tire, competition-proven performance. MOMO, the official safety partner of GRIDLIFE. Hawk Brakes, race-proven, street-legal. And Valvoline, Valvoline VR1, available at Advanced Auto Parts stores.
The Falken Azenas RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenas RT660.
Hawk Performance packs 100 years of friction dynamics into every product. Backed by Carlisle Brake and Friction, the world's premier innovator of industrial brake and friction components, Hawk leverages R&D tools and motorsports experience to deliver uncompromising performance on the street. There's no reason to settle for less. Choose pads that are race-proven and street-legal. Find the Hawk Performance brake dealer near you at hawkperformance.com.
Here at FCP Euro, we take pride in the fact that each and every one of your orders is picked, packaged, and shipped by a fellow car enthusiast. We understand that you need the right parts and need them fast to complete that next project or get your daily driver back on the road. Take Roberto, one of the pickers in the distribution center and one of the key pieces to making sure the right parts arrive at your door. When he's not at FCP Euro, Roberto is driving his Mark V R32 to various car shows around the Northeast. When he's picking orders, he puts himself in your shoes and understands that you need the right parts to arrive at your door, so he takes the utmost care in making sure he puts the correct items in the box. To learn more about us, head to fcpeuro.com.